Either you didn't have a conversation with her or you did. We know you did. We know that you had a conversation continuing. We know that your phone takes you up in the exact same area as she was dropped off. Coincidence? Nope.
Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all are having a wonderful week so far. I hope everybody's feeling good, drinking their water this year of 2025 and taking care of yourself. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a situation with a young college student. And I found this story very interesting for multiple different reasons. But one of the reasons why it stuck out to me is because I've been seeing a lot of stuff online lately, YouTubes or Facebook or TikToks, that seems to be targeted towards influencing people that are younger, maybe in the college age, into certain, we'll say, job ventures, making it sound like it is just the answer to everything. Before we get into it though, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things more casually over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there, we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There is a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section on what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram. And I'm also on Like to Know It. And Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to a lot of the things that I love or that I use or that y'all ask about. Like this top is linked over there, hair care products, makeup, skincare, clothing items, gifts for my husband, clothing for my son, basically anything you can think of. I link that over on my Like to Know It, and all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. Before we go any further, I did want to stop and thank today's sponsor, Upside. Upside is going to be one of the most valuable apps that you have in your phone in 2025. Whether you are getting gas at the gas station, or if you're going out to eat, or if you are going grocery shopping, Upside gives you the opportunity to earn cash back on every purchase. I've been using Upside for years now, and just let me show you how easy it is to use. So say me and my family are spending the weekend in Birmingham, Alabama, and we decide that we want to go and pick up some Taco Bell or maybe even some Church's chicken and bring it back to the hotel room. Well, all I got to do is open up my Upside app, see that with Upside, I can earn 29% cash back on whatever our food order is. Or if I'm just in need of a gas station, I can just open up the app and Upside will show me where the closest gas station is to me that's offering a deal. I just claim the deal, and whenever I'm done pumping the gas, I just hit I've paid, and it is simple as that. I mean, there are over 100,000 different gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app, ensuring that cash back is always just around the corner. And yes, it is real cash back. There are no confusing credits, no reward systems. It's just actual money that you can transfer to your bank account. And average earners on Upside are getting as much as $280 cash back every year. To find out how much you can earn, just click the link down in the description box to download the Upside app. Use code Christina Randall and you can get an extra 25 cents cash back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. Or you can just scan this QR code right here to claim this offer and start earning today. Thanks again, Upside. Okay, let's talk about Mackenzie. So Mackenzie Luck was born on March 8th of 1996 in El Segundo, California, to her parents, Greg and Diana. Now, El Segundo is a part of Los Angeles County, but it is a relatively smaller town for the area with about 16,000 residents. She had one older brother and two younger brothers, and they were a really close and tight-knit family. Her family was a part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, Mackenzie, she went on to go to El Segundo High School, where she was on the swimming team and she played water polo. After graduating from high school in 2014, Mackenzie went to the University of Utah, where she majored in kinesiology and pre-nursing. She was also a member of the Alpha Chi Omega sorority, and she planned on graduating in 2020. Now, at the time, Mackenzie was working at a biological testing company in Salt Lake City. She planned to have a career in health sciences. Mackenzie's friends say that she was the average American college student. She had a job, she was getting an education, and they say that she was a responsible person who cared deeply for the people that she was close with. She was very much a nurturer that everyone gravitated towards. And she was considered to be almost like a mother figure for the other girls in her sorority. They said that Mackenzie was always like cooking for everyone and always made sure that everyone was okay. And if they ever needed something, Mackenzie was definitely there for them. Some of her friends even said that they truly didn't know anyone that didn't like Mackenzie. Now, even though Mackenzie was in Salt Lake City, which was actually the LDS's church's headquarters, was there in Salt Lake City, Mackenzie's friends say that she was not practicing her faith at the time. They say that Mackenzie wanted to find her own path, her own identity, and that seemed to be going really well for her. I mean, from the outside, from what her friends said. They also said that she was very happy and she was having fun living her life as a young college student. Now, Mackenzie had 2 serious boyfriends while she was in Salt Lake City. However, those relationships just didn't work out. So most recently, Mackenzie was just like casually dating. Sadly, though, with all of these things that Mackenzie had going on for her, a completely bright young woman, a lot of friends, a group of people at her college. She had a great job. She was on her path. She didn't really want to follow like in the path of her family's footsteps or be involved with the church. She wanted to carve out her own path. Things all seemed to be going quite well until something so unexpected happened. Nobody, none of her friends, her family, or anybody could have seen this coming. In June of 2019, 23-year-old Mackenzie was back in California to attend her grandmother's funeral. Then on June 17th, Mackenzie flew back to Salt Lake City and landed during the early morning hours. Now, when she landed, she texted her mother at 2:01 a.m. to tell her that she landed safely and she would be home shortly. This would be the last time, though, that Mackenzie's family would ever hear from her again. 3 days later, on June 20th, Mackenzie's deeply concerned father called the Salt Lake City Police Department to ask that they perform a welfare check on her.
I've been trying to get a hold of her all week, and her phone just tends to go to voicemail. I was just wondering if I could have somebody maybe go by her house and check on her.
Now, it is said that it was not like Mackenzie not to return text messages, phone calls, or anything to her family. So when it went on for this 3 days, yeah, she texted her mom and said, hey, I've landed safely, but then they never heard from her afterwards. As you can understand, they were very upset. Well, officers were dispatched to Mackenzie's home, and this is where they found her car in the driveway, but they found no sign of Mackenzie anywhere. Everyone, including law enforcement and Mackenzie's friends and family, immediately went into investigative mode. Officers were sending texts to Mackenzie's phone, and her friends were even posting all over social media looking for her. But it was actually Mackenzie's friend Ashley that got investigators their first clue. Now, through online sleuthing, Ashley discovered that Mackenzie had actually gotten into a Lyft car at the airport the morning that she disappeared. Now, mind you, at this time, on the college campus, there were all these rumors about different people that had gotten into like Ubers or different Lyfts and then disappeared or something happened to them. I'm sure y'all have either heard of a story like that, even here on my channel, we've talked about different things, or heard about stories like that online, that every now and then something strange happens. And with her being a college student and the rumors going around on the college campus, as you can imagine, when they found out that she called her mom from the airport, she got into a Lyft, and then nobody heard from her again, This is where they were like, okay, something happened here. But when investigators were able to track down that Lyft driver, he actually informed them that he had dropped Mackenzie off just before 3 a.m. at a park called Hatch Park in North Salt Lake. Now, mind you, when I first heard that, I immediately thought, no way. Okay, this Lyft driver, he needs to be investigated more. He just drops her off at a park at 3 a.m. Sure. Well, the investigators were actually able to find surveillance footage that showed his car leaving the park. So the Lyft driver was just ruled out as a suspect. The driver did tell the investigators, though, that Mackenzie seemed to be happy and she seemed to be in a good mood when he dropped her off. And he even said that she had commented to him about how weird it was for her to be dropped off at a park in the middle of the night. But the driver said that he wasn't too concerned because he saw a car that was there waiting for her when he dropped her off. He said that the situation seemed safe because he thought Mackenzie obviously knew the person, and so he just went on about his night shift, which was confirmed by Lyft tracking data. And again, mind you, yeah, he's a Lyft driver, but it's not his job to babysit every person that gets into his car. That would be really hard to do. Even if he was dropping her off at a park and there was nobody there, it wouldn't necessarily have been his responsibility, but he did say that he saw the car, she was in a good mood, and da. After looking at Mackenzie's cell phone records, investigators discovered that her phone was actually shut off just minutes after she got out of the Lyft, and the trail went cold after that, which is bizarre. Unfortunately, there were cameras at the park, but they were dummy cameras that weren't even working at the time, so no footage could be taken from these cameras. Dummy cameras at a park, terrible idea. Now, Mackenzie's case at this point was all over the local media and everyone was out looking for her. But the case remained at a complete standstill. There were even investigators that were saying, listen, she is an adult, okay? Adults go ghost or no contact with people all the time. They go off with a friend or a spouse or a lover or whatever, or by themselves, and they don't want to be contacted. But investigators got a tip from a former Salt Lake City police officer who ended up turning into a private investigator named Rob Joseph. Now, Rob and a friend had actually met Mackenzie at a bar just a few weeks prior to her disappearance. Rob told the investigators that Mackenzie seemed very bright and bubbly and happy. And he also said that Mackenzie talked about being on a dating site that basically sought out to hook up wealthy older men with younger single women for basically a sugar daddy, sugar baby type of website. Now, after learning this information, investigators started looking into Mackenzie's financials and discovered plane tickets paid for by men that she had met on this dating site and a $300 deposit by another man. This was enough evidence for the investigators to get a search warrant for a number that Mackenzie had been texting on the night of her disappearance. So mind you, even though they knew, again, that she got into this Lyft and got into this vehicle with this other person, she was an adult, and just because her family was looking for her, she could have just been run off with, not wanted to be tracked down. But after they saw all of this information, they were able to get this warrant to find this phone number. The investigators tracked the phone to a home that is owned by a 31-year-old man named Ayoola Ajayi, who's also known as AJ. Now, AJ was a former National Guard member, a part-time model, and a pretty successful tech worker. He was originally from Nigeria, but he had a green card that allowed him to work in the U.S. AJ was a student at the Utah State University, but he was actually banned from campus in 2012 for problems with his green card and for allegedly stealing someone's iPad. AJ returned to school in 2015 after fixing his issues with his green card. He studied computer science, but he never actually went on to graduate. Now, AJ and Mackenzie met on this dating site that we were just talking about back in 2018. When the investigators dug into AJ's background, they found some pretty concerning things, to say the least. According to a contractor, in April of 2019, AJ asked him to build a secret soundproof room under the front porch of his house with a fingerprint scanner lock. Yeah. AJ told this contractor that he wanted the room built so he could hide alcohol from his Mormon girlfriend. The contractor said that he was pretty uncomfortable with this request, and so he ended up turning down the job. A cleaner that used to clean AJ's house told the investigators that she noticed a lot of cameras in AJ's house, especially in the bedroom.
He was hired to clean the house, but quit after just one day after discovering it bristled with cameras.
How many cameras did he have in the house, and where were they placed?
I figured around 8 to 10.
Wow.
But there was one in every single room for sure, but there was several in the master bedroom.
And where were the cameras facing in the master bedroom?
Towards the bed.
As far as criminal record goes, investigators learned that AJ had allegedly SA'd a woman in the past. So in March of 2018, they say that AJ invited a woman to his house, and while they watched TV on his couch, the woman says that AJ began intensely kissing her and trying to inappropriately and forcefully touch her. She said that when she tried to get away, AJ pinned her down and bit her at least 3 times, causing her significant pain and bruising. Then, according to the North Park Police Department in North Logan, Utah, AJ was also investigated for an R-word crime back in 2014. However, the alleged victim did not end up pursuing charges, so the investigation was dropped. AJ's ex-wife told investigators that he had been physical with her in the past, and she said that AJ even threatened to have someone kidnap and end her life, which is why she ultimately cut off all communication with him. She said that AJ would really get aggressive when she did not do what he wanted her to do.
When I first met him, he was a sweet person.
Now she's trying to figure out when it all went wrong.
He was a good person. He used to send me money down here for my kids.
Tanisha met Ayoola Ajayi through a family friend. They got married in Dallas, where she lives. He was 23 and she was 27.
The stuff that he was doing, it was changing my life.
According to marriage records, they got married in 2011, but they never lived together. She stayed in Dallas while Ayoola would send money from Utah to help her take care of her kids.
I just stopped talking to him because that was like free from my life.
But then she says something changed.
It really was scary.
Tanisha telling me Ayoola became controlling and violent.
In his word, I'm gonna be honest, he was like, I'll have somebody that come and kidnap you and kill you.
She changed her phone number and cut all ties.
Because he threatened me.
Now, something else interesting that the investigators found while they were digging into AJ's background at one point is that AJ had actually written a book called Forge Identity, which has 3 characters that are all ended and burned in this story. So knowing all of this and seeing his connection with Mackenzie's tragic passing, investigators obviously had a lot of questions for AJ. Now, when questioned by investigators, AJ claimed that he had never spoken to Mackenzie, but that he said that the text that they found could have been sent by someone staying at the Airbnb that he ran in the basement of his home. However, later that day, AJ went back to the police station to admit that he and Mackenzie had actually texted briefly after meeting through the dating site, but he claimed that Mackenzie had blew him off and that he totally forgot about it.
I know it's not good when people are missing. Every time they are missing, it's putting their family into confusion of what they are doing, what's going on.
So think about that for a second and put yourself in their shoes, and then start being honest with me.
If I know where she is right now, I will tell you. I voluntarily choose to talk to you, do all this without my lawyer. And I know it can come back to bite me. But I'm willing to do all that to speed up everything so you can find her.
Either you didn't have a conversation with her or you did. We know you did. We know that you had a conversation continuing. We know that your phone takes you up in the exact same area as she was dropped off. Coincidence? Nope. Did you meet with her up in Salt Lake that night?
No.
Okay, your phone records are going to show different.
Investigators were not buying AJ's story, and so this is when they decided that they were going to get a search warrant for his home and his property. As they were executing this search warrant, this is when the investigators discovered that AJ's home smelled like bleach and a mattress was missing, which we all know, okay? warning, right? They also noticed that all of the security cameras in AJ's home had been completely turned off. One of AJ's neighbors also told the investigators that AJ had just had a fire going in his backyard a week prior that had an absolutely terrible smell. I mean, it was so bad that allegedly the neighbors said that they were going to call and report him because of this smell if he did not put the fire. Can you imagine like your neighbors, like they're burning something like, oh, what does that smell like? You literally burning horse manure or whatever it is. The smell is so strong that they told him that if he didn't put it out, they were going to get somebody else involved. Because of this, the investigators immediately started digging up the backyard. They found all kind of charred clothing, purses, multiple purses, multiple backpacks, a burnt iPhone, and fragments of human tissue. Why anybody would have multiple purses buried in their backyard, much less the backpacks, the phone, and then human tissue. But they were only fragments. They were not an actual body. So the investigators used AJ's cell phone to track his movement. This is what led the investigators to finding Mackenzie, her remains, in Logan Canyon. After finding Mackenzie in Logan Canyon, deceased, her body was taken in to have an autopsy done. Now, during her autopsy, it was determined that Mackenzie had blunt force trauma on the left side of her head. She was also missing part of her scalp, and she had a 5-centimeter hole in her skull. The blunt force trauma to the left side of her skull caused a brain hemorrhage and is what ultimately ended Mackenzie's life. AJ was immediately arrested for the crime and the desecration of a human body. He was also charged with kidnapping and obstructing justice as well. Now, according to the district attorney, he said that the evidence suggested that AJ did what he did to Mackenzie just to see what it felt like to end someone's life in this way. That's the only reason. He was just looking for it. On October 7th of 2020, AJ pled guilty to first-degree aggravated murder and third-degree desecration of a human body as part of a plea deal. Now, the plea deal dropped the other 2 charges and it took the DP off of the table. Because of that, he went in and he admitted that he did in fact plan to end Mackenzie's life before he ever even picked her up that night. I mean, Mackenzie was texting this guy from this website with something in mind that she thought was probably going to be a simple process, and he was texting her with a totally different plan in mind. Now, at the same hearing where AJ pled guilty, his defense attorney told the courtroom what AJ said happened to Mackenzie. So he got up there and relayed the message. So I guess AJ did not have to. The attorney said that once AJ and Mackenzie got to AJ's house, this is where AJ tied Mackenzie's hands behind her back with zip ties and rope and tried to choke her with his hands. Then he turned her over onto her stomach, and this is where he used his belt to asphyxiate her until she stopped moving. The attorney then said that AJ buried Mackenzie's body and some of her belongings in his backyard and threw some of her belongings in a nearby river. He said the next day that AJ went back out and burned Mackenzie's body. And so the neighbors, the smell, yeah. Days later, when the investigators came to his house to ask him about Mackenzie's whereabouts, AJ apparently went out and dug Mackenzie's remains back up, and this is when he said he took them to Logan Canyon, where he buried her in a shallow grave. Now, AJ never gave a reason why he did what he did out of his own mouth or via his attorney. But at AJ's sentencing hearing, this is when Mackenzie's parents gave a statement. Now, before I show y'all this video, I just wanted to remind y'all this was during COVID, so people were not in the courtrooms like they are now, and so the footage isn't the best.
My life has been changed due to the selfish, premeditated decision you made on June 17, 2019. Instead of planning my daughter's graduation party, I planned her memorial.
I won't be able to hug her and tell her how proud of her I am and see her amazing smile and her big brown eyes telling me how much she loves me.
AJ's defense attorney also gave an apology in the court on behalf of AJ, but those present said that they did not believe it at all, and so then AJ was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was also later charged with the March 2018 kidnapping of another woman who he met on a dating app. This woman came forward after AJ was arrested for Mackenzie's murder, and then AJ pled guilty to this case as well. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison for this case. But if this wasn't enough, this is all just happening within a couple of years, you guys. People are seeing his face online. AJ was then also charged with 19 counts of exploitation of a minor. Yeah. This is when the police say that they found numerous photos on his computer when they were investigating Mackenzie's case. The photos allegedly showed little ones between the ages of 4 and 8. AJ pled not guilty to these charges, and the charges were later dismissed as a part of a plea agreement in this Mackenzie case. So what do I think? Obviously, it's horrific, and bravo to the investigators for getting this guy off the street, because he's obviously very dangerous, and it is shocking that he got away with so much for so long. Now, I saw an interview with a woman from a news source that was crying, who was like over this modeling agency and had a lot of young women that she had under her that were modeling. And he came to some sort of meeting and met her, and he was wanting, I guess, to get the models. Here, let me put this video up here.
On the surface, he seemed perfect. He seemed very smart, very good looking. He wanted to sign on with my agency, and I did not feel comfortable having him in the same room with my young models. So I just listened to my gut, and I didn't have anything further to do with him. Horrifying to think. I'm so sorry.
To think about what happened to this poor girl.
Now, I find it so interesting because even when I've heard him speak in some of those interviews with the police, he speaks, he's got a nice accent, to my opinion, a beautiful accent. He's a very good looking guy. He speaks very intelligently. I mean, when he dresses nice and he's wearing his glasses, he has this accent. He speaks very intelligently. He's obviously an author, and he's been to college. I mean, like, he has a lot. He's obviously a survivor from where he came from and some of the things that he experienced when he was younger. And I can just see how it would have been so easy to be lured in by this guy. When I was listening to him, even something about him seemed disarming. And that's alarming to know all of the things that was going on with this guy, because he even was trying to have this room built under his house, under his front porch, with a finger scan to get in. Terrifying. But at the same time, on like Mackenzie's end of it, there has been a lot of stuff that I have seen that's gone through different feeds of mine on social media sources that has been promoting, especially young women, getting on certain apps to make easy money. And it's just not always, it doesn't go that way. It doesn't all, so it's just, I mean, this is so sad. And again, this is just more proof that people that have these intentions do not have a look. They don't always look like the boogeyman. They don't always look like the scary monster under your bed. Sometimes they look like this. They look like well-educated entrepreneurs, driven, hardworking, good-looking people, young people. And you just never ever know. My heart goes out to Mackenzie's family. I cannot imagine her mother, you guys. And for those of y'all that are parents, especially if you have older kids that are traveling and doing stuff like that, and they text you off the plane. I know our oldest son, about to be 24 years old, still to this day when he's flying in, landed at Atlanta airport, about to get on my connection, and then you hear that landed, and then you don't, Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Y'all, please be careful out there. I love y'all. Thank y'all for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.